blogger? Do you make money blogging? How do you make money blogging? How much money do you make? Do you really make enough money? Do you accept guest posts? What will you do in 5 years? What are you going to do when you're old? Do you get loads of free stuff? Can I have your free stuff? Do you accept guest posts? Can you do a blog post, Instagram story, and give me your firstborn in exchange for a hair clip? Do you want to buy some followers from me? Do you accept guest posts? Hello, I hope you're all doing really well and that you're having an amazing week so far. So today I thought I would do another video in my blog school series, and it's a Q&A. Been wanting to do it for a while, and I thought I would also include some tips and tricks to help you on your blogging journey. Now, in the words of Jackie A, if you're one of the 84% who are watching my videos and you're not subscribed, what are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? It would be amazing if you click subscribe. It will change your life, I promise. And if you wanted to give this video a thumbs up, I wouldn't stop here. Also got a blog, iwantyoutoKnow.co.uk, Instagram at Kristabel, and I'm on every platform going. The links are down below. So my first question comes from Kim, and she has asked whether it's too late to start a blog in 2018. Also, I'm struggling with this feeling that I'm out of my league, and I've wondered if you ever felt the same way and how you overcame it. So I would say it's not too late to start a blog in 2018, but you really have to consider the reasons why you're doing it. Because like I said in my how to make money blogging video, if you want to make loads of money, there's easier ways. You may be working for free for a lot of the time. You really do have to let your passion drive you. I think for me, like, blogging has taught me so many things about myself. I've been doing it for 9 years, so when I started I was 21. Like 21, I feel like I was a baby, even though I was technically an adult. You do a lot of growing up in your 20s. I've always loved documenting things, and I know that one day I'll look back on it and think, wow, I have grown and changed as a person. I've also met so many interesting people. Like Lucy is my best friend. I met her 9 years ago at a Tampax event, and it's been quite an intense friendship. You know, it's not, I've never really lived with a friend, and we've spoken about so many different things. We've really, you know, become closer in the past 4 or 5 years. In terms of my career, I've really learned what I'm passionate about and what I value. Definitely authenticity. This is why I stopped working in design, because I didn't like all the plagiarism. I was like, if I'm not able to design properly, I'm not gonna do it. And through blogging, I do feel a bit like a creative director in a way. I come up with my own concepts. I take an idea from start to finish. I follow creative briefs. If there's something I want to do, I figure out a way to do it. I think it makes you a really good problem solver. I've met so many creative people as well, and it's really exciting what's going on, especially on Twitter. Like, there's a lot of activists, a lot of people standing up for what they believe in, and I feel privileged to know them. I think it all would have been worth it, but even if I hadn't made any money, even if I was just doing this on the side, it would have been worth it. So yeah, so that's the emotional response to that question. I think you really have to view blogging as an opportunity, as a springboard, as a portfolio. Like, I've been able to learn so many skills. I've learned how to edit videos, edit photos. I've really challenged myself. And those are the skills that you need as a freelancer. Like, you need to be adaptable, you know, willing to learn, upskill. And I don't think you should necessarily view yourself as just a blogger. Like, view yourself as a multi-skilled freelancer. So in practical terms, I think you really do have to have a distinct point of view. It is very competitive now. I would think outside the box. Don't look at what everyone else is doing. You know, if you see everyone's going to a certain place to take photos in terms of fashion, I wouldn't go there. I would find somewhere else. I would create something different. You know, if you've got something you can open up about, or something that will reassure other people, then go for it, because I think that's really important right now, sharing our experiences and empowering each other. So I never really felt out of my league, because I did it bit by bit. You know, when I started, I was a student, I was writing blogs in my bedroom, I wasn't thinking much of it. So I think because it had been broken down into really easy steps, it did not seem that way. And I met loads of different bloggers at events, so I never felt like, oh, I can't talk to this person, I can't talk to that person. There was a big community back when I started. Now I think it's a bit more fragmented, and it may seem overwhelming, but You know, if you want to connect with someone, you could interview them. Like, there are ways that you can do that. Yeah, I would say just don't overwhelm yourself. Don't think, I've got to have this perfect, that perfect. I didn't do that. Like, I had shocking photography. My writing was all over the place. I've really refined things over the past 9 years. So I would definitely break it down bit by bit. Really research, you know, see what's out there, think of what you can offer. I wouldn't put too much pressure on yourself. Like, don't quit your job by any means. Just see it as another side hustle and a way to propel you on to the next thing. So She's That New Girl has asked, what would you blog about if not fashion, lifestyle and travel, and why? So I think that my blog as it stands now would always have this mix. This is just what I'm interested in at the moment. Obviously fashion, lifestyle, you can fit anything into lifestyle really, and travel I think is so important if you're able to, you know, to see more of the world. You know, perhaps if I was doing a different sort of blog, I'd be even more open about certain topics, maybe like dating, relationships, bodily issues. I've been reading some great articles and it can be really reassuring when someone says, oh, I've got this too, or I've been worried about this. So I'd probably get even more honest in my writing. I think Vix Meldrew is a great example. She really goes there and it's really great that she's being open about these things. At the moment, you know, we'll see. We'll see if I get a bit saucy. Probably not, sorry. Jane has asked, how will your work be affected by Brexit? I don't know. I have no idea what's going to happen because of Brexit, which is, you know, sometimes I do think about it. I'm worried. I've seen a lot of companies have been moving their headquarters. It's definitely in the back of my mind. Part of me is hoping it doesn't happen. I'm hoping that they'll just say, nah. But otherwise, I'm hoping that I've equipped myself with the skills that I need to survive in this world. And it sounds really drastic, but I don't think any job is certain in any industry, like whether you're freelance or not. And I think if you're freelance, you're kind of aware, like if you're gonna have a slow month, you're aware of it. And I now know, okay, I can talk to this person, write to this person, hustle here, hustle there. Whereas you don't know if you're gonna be made redundant or if your company's going under. So yeah, I don't know. I did speak to my business mentor and he said there's going to be a lot of focus on the UK. There are a lot of conversations going on about race, about immigration, you know, we've got the royal wedding coming up. And I think there's going to be a lot of focus on the UK. That could be an opportunity, you know, to have more diverse voices out there. Who knows? Who knows what's going to happen? You know, maybe I'll leave the country. Who knows? I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen to London. I could just go to Jamaica, hang out there in the heat. Don't mind. But yeah, I don't know. You'll get to see it on my vlogs though, the Brexit vlogs. So Capricious L has asked if we can expect a Kristabel book anytime soon. Like home styling, recipes, travel tips, advice, things you've learned at 30. Oof, I would love a bougie book. I'd love my bougie coffee table book. You know, it would be great to do that kind of book, but I feel like it would have to be self-published because I don't necessarily have the following where publishers are approaching me for that sort of thing. And it makes sense to put that stuff on my blog because at least I can get page views, I can put it on Pinterest. I think it can have more of an audience rather than being in a book. And it's not me being negative about the whole thing. I'm definitely open to exploring other avenues. I do have a few ideas up my sleeve, but I need to plan enough time to make them happen. So watch this space. So Supal has asked a lot of questions. She's asked, how do you get brands to notice you? She'd love to know more about my blogging process and how I get inspiration on what to wear at a certain location. So how did I get brands to notice me? I think because I've been doing this a long time, so 9 years. So if we're talking about fashion bloggers, I think I was in quite an early wave. Like I like to think of it in terms of school years. So Susie Bubble was maybe 2 years above me. And I was getting invited to a lot of events that the big bloggers would go to as well. So I think brands would have just found me via Google. After a while, like brands started to create their own databases, and then other people started to, you know, create these blogger databases, sell them to brands. So I think I've just been on a lot of databases basically. And it's not what you want to hear, but I think if you want to get on a brand's radar, you need to just try and create that content that they would want. So say I wanted to get on the radar of NARS, I would probably, you know, take some really nice flat lays, tag NARS, maybe find out the PR for NARS, tag the PR on Instagram. Maybe I would you know, try and get the contact details and just say, you know, I've done a few posts, it would be great to be added to your press list or to be informed about any events. And I wouldn't ask for too much. Like sometimes you want to go in a bit gently. You want to make it so that people can comfortably say no. I've also known a lot of bloggers who have then gone on to work at brands. So my housemate Lucy works at Bowden. It's about really creating a network, and you've got to be in it for the long game. So yeah, and I think go down other avenues. Like if you're able to do a bit of freelance writing, you know, you can meet PRs that way. I think back in the day, I used to blog about events that I went to. I was very strict with my outfit posts. I would, you know, do an outfit post every Sunday without fail. And then after a while, I was like, oh, I don't really know what I want to say about this. I'm kind of forcing things. It doesn't, you know, it's not really exciting me. So I had to adjust things and give everything like a distinct point of view. I had to make it a bit more meaningful. So I'm always getting ideas. Sometimes, you know, they're about productivity because I obviously want to be more productive. Yeah, it's just literally I'll be thinking about something or reading something and it sparks something off. Or I'll spot something like this top and think, okay, that could be a post. V-neck tops for girls who need bras. Okay, that's not the best title, but it's something that I thought about, and I'm sure other people have wondered, like, where do you get tops that, you know, are not ridiculously low? Then I also have a content calendar, so I look at the whole year. I think, okay, Black History Month is in October, so I probably want to do something around maybe an interview with a Black-owned business, or maybe talk about hair. So the start of July is halfway through the year, so I might want to do a mid-year check-in and talk about how I've changed my blogging process. So sometimes it's more of a long game, and I've planned posts for December, like it's going to be my 10th year of blogging. So I've got ideas, like I've learned that I need to let the idea marinate in my head. I do struggle with writer's block a lot. So sometimes I'll be looking at the page and I'll think, why is this not coming out? Like, why isn't this working? It's not going to be as good as this. And I've realised, like, you just have to let the idea marinate. So you have the ideas, say for a post in December, and then maybe like once a week I'll think, oh, that can go in the post, and I write it down. And so sometimes I build my post that way, or, you know, I can get the idea and write it up in a day if I really want to. But basically I've had to come up with a plan. So if I'm not very motivated, I've already like broken down the task enough to make sure that I get a post delivered. And then obviously if I travel, there's going to be a few posts around that, and when I'm traveling I'm always writing up notes and then, you know, thinking about, okay, I'm going to do a post on this. Like for Jamaica, I'll do a post on Port Antonio, I'll do a post with tips on travel and everything, and the outfits fit into that. Obviously, like sponsored stuff will come in throughout the year, so if I get, you know, a brief come in, I'll brainstorm, or I'll look and see if it aligns with something I'd already brainstormed. That is always handy because it just means it's even more authentic. So in terms of locations, like I'm not aiming for a Vogue shoot necessarily, but I do want to always make sure I have colourful backdrops. So whether it's pastels or something a bit more muted, like if it's something muted, I would make sure I'm wearing something really bright to compensate with that. Or if I'm wearing a white outfit, I might want to contrast it with some pastels, or, you know, if there's a lot of nice foliage around, maybe it's autumn and I can find some nice leaves, you know, that would coordinate really well. I always want to have a bit of contrast. It might just be a hint of colour in the corner. So yeah, a lot of the time it is done out of convenience. So if I'm in central London, I may go to Berwick Street, or I might go to Regent's Park, I could go to Warren Mews, I could go to Holborn. I tend to know a few streets that are a bit quieter and have really interesting details, like a door or a nice shop front. Yeah, I think I would like to branch out. I'd like to go to some more adventurous locations, but I still want to keep it quite down to earth. So Manny Mellon has asked, how do you stay organised and manage everything? I'm trying to start my blog whilst doing YouTube and university, and it's hard to make time for it all. So I feel like I don't stay organised and manage everything, and I think it's really about accepting that you're never going to be perfect all of the time. It is impossible, but most of the time you'll be doing things at an adequate enough level. And this happens in every walk of life. It happens in businesses. I feel like even at work, if you work full time, you always feel like you're not doing enough, and we do put ourselves down. Like I do have a friend who does that. She'll have reviews and she'll put she's underachieving when she's actually doing well. I think you just got to remember that no one else sees what we see. Like I'm very critical of myself, but not everyone sees that. So university is very, very important. I would make sure you finish your degree. It is expensive, you know, get that degree if you can. I did have to make a decision, like in the final year of uni, I had to make a graduate collection. I had to make a lot of it in 2 weeks. So I thought, I'm gonna stop blogging, because I was getting up, I was setting up my tripod, taking a picture of my outfit, and it was taking time away from the knit studio. So I said to myself, okay, I'm gonna stop blogging. I think I was only posting once a week at that point, but I stopped blogging and got on with my work. So I don't know what year you're in, but if it's not exam season, then I would just look at your time, like look at how you're spending your time and think, okay, where can I work on my blog? Am I getting up late on a Sunday? Am I going out loads? You know, cut down on these things if you really want to make it work, but also create a manageable schedule. So don't commit to doing a post every day. You maybe do one a week and plan ahead. So I use a very complex system for planning, and it's literally because my head is all over the place. I use a combination of iPhone notes, so if I'm on the go and I have an idea, I will just jot it down. So I also use Google Drive a lot, so I will create a Google Doc for anything. When I plan out my videos, my blog posts, everything. And what I love is that it syncs with all of your devices. So I can work across my laptop or my desktop, I can jot things in on my phone, I can copy things in from notes. It can be a bit chaotic, but it just works for me at the moment. I don't really use a notebook at the moment. I also use Trello. So Trello is great for making lists because you can move things around. It's very flexible. So that's more for long-term planning. And then I use Google Calendar as well to organize my schedule, editorial calendar, what I'm doing. I like seeing everything there in different colors. So Ray Talks has asked about how to grow your blog and the pros and cons of blogging. So how do you grow your blog? It is tough. It is tough out there. Again, you have to think, what do you want from it? But you also have to be realistic. So do you want to be the Daily Mail? I hope you don't. Do you want to be churning out clickbaity articles, or do you want to have something that's a bit more considered? Like, do you want to be a kinfolk, or do you want to be the Daily Mail? If you can use all of the tools at your disposal, so SEO, Pinterest, I'm always trying to structure my post titles differently now. The aim is to get a quality audience, and I think in-person networking can be great. So, you know, if you're at an event, or if you're meeting new people, I've been going to an improv class and I always give my cards out there. You know, people I've met, I know I feel even strongly about them after I've met them. So I would definitely look at alternative avenues to find a quality audience. There are a lot of people doing very similar things, and it may work for them, but not for you. So you've just got to approach it from a different way. You know, if you can connect with certain communities, go to events, Twitter chats, there's all sorts of places. Now Facebook groups, like I've heard of a lot of different Facebook groups where people are networking. So think about how you're finding content or how you search for things and try and implement some of those strategies. So the pros and cons of blogging, so I mentioned some of these earlier. It has helped me grow as a person. I know that sounds very Oprah, but it really has. It's changed my life. I feel so much more confident, so much more knowledgeable, so much braver, like talking about certain things. And I think it's been a combination of things, but I think blogging led me into situations that I wouldn't have been in otherwise. Like I've been able to meet amazing people at events, have access to information. I couldn't recommend it enough. And I'm not saying that what's happened to me will happen to you, but you'll find something that will work for you. Okay, so the cons. I guess, some of these cons aren't really cons because I know I'm very lucky to be able to do what I do. I don't really switch off, but I think in a creative career, it's very hard to switch off. I think if I were a fashion designer, I would still be getting inspired, I'd still be thinking about things even outside of work. I think, some of the practical things, there's lots of confusing payment systems. I've had to fill out so many supplier forms. I've had to deal with this German double taxation thing, and I'm missing some of my money and I would like my money. The comparison is really, really tough. I can go on Instagram and I can see someone doing the exact thing that I want to be doing. If I'm having a bad day, it's literally there. It's an endless stream of what people are doing, and that can be really tough, especially if you're PMSing or something hasn't gone well for you. Self-doubt as well. Self-doubt can be tricky because I am my own boss. I am my own manager. I don't have an editor, so I'll be struggling writing something and then I'll be like, why are you struggling? This person's written this. Why can't you write this? So it's really tough, and I've had to learn, I've had to really find a network that I can confide in. I think when you're at work, when you're at a full-time job, you can have a bit of separation. from what you're doing, and it's not as connected to you. But for me, it's like a part of me, and it can be really tough. I think it may be better for me to have a bit of separation, but it's never going to be completely separated. Like, I'm always going to be quite emotionally connected to things. Like, it's weird, you can see people doing really dodgy things and they're getting rewarded for it. You can see people saying things and nobody cares, but then if I said it, people would kick up a fuss. And you just got to like distance yourself from it. You got to think, well, that's them and I'm going to do my thing. I'm going to let them dig their own holes, because I think people will eventually, like, if they're doing something dodgy, they will dig their own holes, and I'll be doing my own thing. So dealing with the cons is an ongoing process, and I'm trying. I've downloaded the How to Break Up with Your Phone book. It's going really well so far. Lawyer in the Making has asked, do you provide links to other posts you've written at the end of your blog post? So yes, I do have a plugin on WordPress that does that for me, and it's really important to create lots of inbound links on your blog. Helps with SEO, and it's great to keep people on your site. If you're a blogger, you've probably got an archive of really useful, amazing content, and if you've been to one place in Spain, you might have a post about another place in Spain, and you might want to say, like, if you've liked this post, check out a similar one. So I think it's a no-brainer personally. It doesn't look desperate. I think it's how we consume content now. By all means, really think about your user journey. So don't have loads of cluttered links. Maybe look at sites that are doing it well and instinctively. I quite like A Beautiful Mess and A Pair and a Spare. I would do a bit of research. So look at the kind of sites that you're reading, and what has made you click, like what has made you stay on their site for longer, and try and implement that into your design. Also, if you are creating inbound or outbound links on your blog, make sure it opens in another window, because if you're linking to your friend, they're going to be leaving your site, and we don't want that. I was also asked about finding your niche as a blogger, and I think it took me about 7 years, which is crazy, but it's not clear for everyone. There is a great blog called A Pair and a Spare. I remember meeting Geneva like maybe 8 years ago at London Fashion Week, and she was like, yes, my blog is about DIY fashion. She had a very strong point of view. She was providing tutorials for clothes that you could make yourself, and it was really accessible and understandable. So she was very clear from the outset. And I think now she's diversified a little bit. Not everything is about sewing your own dress, but she had a really clear starting point, and that's great. Like for me, my blog started out as a diary, so it was all over the place. And I really had to, when I was redesigning my blog, I really had to think, what do I stand for? What do I represent? What is my point of view? What do I want to cover? So I came up with the tagline, my blog is about making the most of life, but accepting that there may be hiccups along the way, and that's perfectly fine, because I was talking about my career crisis, interning in New York. It's quite tricky because my niche on YouTube is personality based, and I know my personality is not going to sit well with everyone. In terms of blogging, my niche is quite competitive, fashion, lifestyle and travel, like doing all those things. Like some people are just travel, some people are just budget travel. But I think it's about accepting, I'm not necessarily going to have 1 million followers, and that's fine. I'm going to find the space that's right for me. And I think once you know that, you can feel a lot more confident in yourself. I do compare myself less because I'm really happy with what I'm producing and what I'm talking about. So I would say if it's not immediately apparent, don't worry. Get started, start writing a few posts, see what does well, see what you really enjoy writing as well. And then maybe after 6 months or so, like have a look and think, okay, this is actually what I stand for. Maybe it's going to be budget fashion, budget travel, or whatever it is. Don't worry, it's fine if it takes a bit of time. You've got to let it grow, you've got to let it evolve naturally. So that was my latest blogging Q&A. I'm going to leave any relevant links down below, and let me know if you have any more questions, because I would love to answer them for you. As always, I'll put my previous videos here. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you very, very soon. Bye! Hello, hello, hello. I am back. I don't really know what's going on with my life, if that makes sense.